schalte mal hier rüber. Oh, hier ist noch dein, ups.
Mein was? Mein Po?
Da war noch deine Forenauszeichnung. Die hatte ich noch im Bildschirm.
Warum?
Weil ich die eingeblendet hatte, einfach.
Bei welcher Zahl bist du? Ich bin bei 5.
Bei 5?
4. 3.
Was?
2.
Unfair. Oh, warte, ich mach wieder... Warte. Ich hole schnell auf.
Hello, and welcome to this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase
Jetzt sind wir live.
2024. I'm your host, Laura. I'm a white woman with bright blue hair, shaved on one side, wearing a plain black dress. I'll keep this introduction brief, as I know you're here
Die
to find
Haarfarbe
out
ist aber
about
Copyright
cool
von Rezo,
upcoming
ne?
accessible video games.
Und das
The
lebt bei mir.
Accessibility Summer
Ja, bei mir
Showcase
auch
aims
gerade.
to be a place for disabled gamers to find out about cool upcoming and recently released video games, while knowing upfront if they're likely to be accessible for them upon release. While not every single video game showcase today is going to be accessible for every single disabled gamer, the aim of the showcase is that, wherever possible, there will be at least a couple of interesting games shown today that are going to be playable for you, no matter who you are. If you'd benefit from audio description or sign language interpreter support, there are American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and audio-described versions of the showcase available on youtube.com/Laura K. Buzz. If you'd like to find most of this year's showcase titles in a single place, we have a Steam sale page this year. You can find it at the link on screen now. There you'll find this year's showcase titles to wishlist or
Warte, ich gebe das
purchase,
gleich ein.
alongside last year's showcase titles and a handful of demos. This year's showcase doesn't have a sponsor, so if you'd like to support the Accessibility Summer Showcase, please consider supporting Accessibility at patreon.com/Laura K. Buzz. Your support helps the Summer Showcase to exist, alongside accessibility reviews and the Control-Alt-Access podcast. Now, without any further introduction, let's jump into the games.
So, rein in die Spiele.
This is Elsie,
Jawohl.
the upcoming retro-inspired bullet hell action platforming
Aber
roguelike shooter
bei der Accessibility
from
ist ja
Games and
Xbox
Playtonic
ganz,
Friends.
ganz vorne mit dabei.
Ja, die haben,
Elsie
glaube ich,
isn't just
ungefähr
packed
alles
with
drin.
hyphenated genre tags
Ja,
and technical
krass
action,
gut.
however.
Inklusive dem
The
Controller, den
Night
sie mal bei
Shift
Friendly
team
Fire
have been hard at
vorgestellt
work to
hatten.
provide a host of accessibility features to make Elsie as accessible as possible to anyone who wants to play. If you just want to absorb the gorgeous style and play through the story, there's an invincibility mode,
Oh,
which might also come in handy if you're struggling against a particularly tricky boss fight.
den nutze ich aber heimlich und sage, ich
To
bin
help you
gut.
focus on the hyperkinetic on-screen action, there are modifiers to allow you to blur,
Das finde ich super.
desaturate,
Das sollten
or
viel
even
mehr
turn off
Spiele
the
haben.
backgrounds
Das ist ja cool.
entirely.
Ja.
There are also options for adjusting the amount of screen shake you experience to help with this even further. Elsie is an incredibly colourful game,
Das mache ich
so it has
sowieso immer
options
aus.
to assist those
Screen
with
Shake
colour
weg.
vision deficiency too.
Ja, warum?
Mag
Options
ich
for
einfach
player
nicht.
outline and
Ich finde,
enemy
das
outline
stört
also
mich.
allow you to
Oh,
adjust
okay,
the
okay,
hues
okay.
you
Nervt
like
mich eigentlich.
to make sure the technicolor action is as visible as possible.
Oh.
If you need assistance with reflex mechanics, there will also be an option to adjust the timing required to correctly hit a parry, as well
krass.
as following up with those all-important counterattacks. So to recap, there's an invincibility mode, parry and counterattack timing adjustments, font size modifier,
Die Timing Adjustments hätte ich gerne bei Until Dawn.
player and enemy outline options,
Hätte ich auch bei so gut wie jedem
rumble strength
Spiel.
and
Ja,
screen shake modifiers,
alles.
and options to blur, desaturate or remove backgrounds.
Es gibt einfach so gute Spiele, die zu schwer sind, auch für normale Leute, die jetzt ohne Beeinträchtigung, einfach weil die vielleicht ein bisschen schnelleren Skill erfordern oder so.
Ja.
Und wenn man da das so einstellen könnte, einfach nur für einen Kampf zum Beispiel, dass man unverwundbar ist, mega.
So zwischendurch auch mal, wenn man wirklich gar nicht mehr weiterkommt, bevor der Frust ja zu hoch ist, dass man einfach sagt, okay.
Ja.
Und manche würden es wahrscheinlich immer anlassen und auch das wäre fein, weil jeder kann ja spielen, wie er möchte.
Ja.
Ja,
komplett, komplett.
Ich finde das mega fair.
Indie game studio based out of India called I Miss My Friends Studio. We're
Oh.
working on our first title, Fishbowl.
I Miss My Friends
Fishbowl
Studio.
is a slice of life coming of age story
Oh.
told over a month. There are no forced day-night cycles in Fishbowl, and you can take all the time you need to explore Alo's house. You video call loved ones and have branching conversations with them in a clear sans serif font. You work from home as a junior video editor. Here you match snippets to the correct track as per color or icon.
Ach, so arbeiten die Cutter also.
This game has no fail state and no matter
Jetzt
how
weiß man, was die bei dir machen.
Die spielen den ganzen Tag.
You sort through puzzles to rediscover childhood memories. No time limits or penalties.
No matter how you do.
Take your time to go through all the sentimental objects Alo has received, whether it's through keyboard,
Du spielst es
mouse, or the
falsch.
controller. Do care tasks and get to know yourself better one day at a time. Currently, Fishbowl has few options to change the volume of sound effects and music, and also an option to turn off screen shake. We also make sure to have both visual and audio cues for important events. Take your time to notice them as there is no rush to respond. Our demo starts off with a content warning as it addresses and explores themes of grief, loss, loneliness and isolation. We are a small team and
sah
we
grad noch
have
so
a
schön
lot
aus.
more to do before release.
Ja, und jetzt so.
Auf einmal so düster.
Accessibility-specific settings like removing screen sway, turning off text effects and typing, providing a larger font size, an option to slow down video editing, and adding a way to
Leute, die
skip the
Entwickler haben nicht unbedingt zu Hause ein geiles
We have a long
Aufnahmesetup.
way
Die
to
sitzt
go
zu Hause
and
und
we
nimmt
try
an
to
was
do
mit der
our
Webcam
best.
auf.
We hope you will come along.
Nicht
Thank
jeder
you.
ist ein Superstreamer mit dem besten Mikrofon und Kamera.
It's an exciting
Ja.
third-person adventure game developed by Zero Games. Immerse yourself in the role of Waco, a mysterious gecko embarking on a quest to collect the most powerful mask of his world. Explore diverse landscape, from vibrant
Der hat eine
villages
Frisur.
to dark forests. Each environment is
Das reicht mir jetzt, Erik. Gestern war schon beschissen, weißt du?
sensory experience with ambient sounds everywhere, like bird songs, flowing water,
Oh, guck mal die
and
süßen
echoing
Härchen da oben
footsteps
drauf.
on
Das ist schon
every
süß.
surfaces, guiding your exploration. Our maps are thoughtfully designed to ensure clear auditory cues, allowing players to navigate with ease and fully immerse themselves in the world of Waco. Dive into a world full of quests and puzzles, from helping villagers to unraveling ancient mysteries. Our intuitive inventory systems make managing items a breeze, with color-coded references and clear icons, ensuring accessibilities for all players. And with the ability to customize sounds in the main menu, players can tailor the game to their preferences. Prepare for epic battles as you meet formidable enemies throughout your journey. Each mask grants unique abilities, empowering players to adapt their fighting styles and overcome challenges. And with distinct sounds for every enemy, player can rely on auditory cues to anticipate and react to threats, making the game accessible to all. We are committed to making gaming inclusive for everyone. That's why we are doing our best to develop a
Das sieht tatsächlich ganz
colorblind
geil aus.
Wollte ich gerade sagen, erstaunlich gut.
color palette that ensure clarity and accessibility for all players. We invite you to embark on a
Erinnert mich ein bisschen an das
memorable
Spiel, was wir gespielt
adventure
haben von dem deutschen
where
Entwickler.
exploration, puzzles,
Weißt du
and
noch?
epic battles await.
Ja.
Join us and uncover
Ja,
the secrets of the whimsical
nee,
world of Waco the Mask
Ja.
Waco the Mask Gatherer.
My name is Chad Michael Balton.
Rico,
My
the
pronouns are he,
Mask
him. I am a
drauf.
blind podcast
Onmo,
host,
genau.
accessibility consultant,
Omno, ja, Omno, genau, das meine ich.
speaker,
Genau.
And this is why accessibility in gaming is important to me. I will always remember how back in 2019, when Kingdom Hearts 3 had just released, how excited I was to play the game. I had been a longtime fan of the series and was finally ready to experience the end of the trilogy. However, at this point in time, I was unaware of how bad my retinitis pigmentosa had gotten and just how much of my usable vision I really had lost. I can remember not only not being able to get through the first world, but just not knowing where I needed to go or what I needed to do to progress throughout the game. I will never forget how upset I was and how I ended up calling my mother and father, crying to them on the phone, and just telling them, hey, I think I have to give up on gaming. I think that because of my blindness, I can no longer keep gaming. And it was a pretty big thing for me because growing up, video games had been the best way for me to cope with losing my vision and just not being able to control what was going on in my life. I had all intentions to never play a video game again, and for the next 2 years, I kept true to that promise. I thought that I would go the rest of my life without playing another video game. But, you know, in 2021, my brother-in-law, he sent me a text telling me about a game called The Last of Us Part 2 and how I should check it out, which I thought was crazy because I remember being able to play the game, the first game that is, back when I had usable vision. And I was just thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to play the sequel due to my limited amount of vision. And boy, was I wrong. I could have not been any more wrong. And it was a welcome surprise for myself to boot up the game and realize that my vision wasn't the problem. It was that up until this point, games really just weren't being made to accommodate gamers like myself and so many others. If it wasn't for the work that Brandon Cole and Naughty Dog did on The Last of Us Part 2, I don't think I would ever have gotten back into gaming. And I can only imagine where my life would be right now if I didn't get back into gaming. I owe accessibility in gaming so much.
Oh, krass.
Hello, my name is Stefan
Ich war manchmal abgelenkt vom
pronouns
Hund.
are he, him, and I'm a physically disabled gamer.
Ich habe nur den
I
wedelnden
run
Schwanz
Fiction
gesehen.
Factory
Ja,
games,
mal
and we
hier, mal
make
da.
character-driven narrative games such as Arcade Spirits, The New Challengers, Penny Larceny, Gig Economy Supervillain, and our upcoming title, The Shadow over Cyberspace. Today, I'd like to demonstrate some of the accessibility technology that we've built into our games. I'll use our latest game, Penny Larceny, to demonstrate. In this comic book romantic comedy, you play as a criminal underling named Penny, working for various supervillains to help put food on the table. All of our games feature a self-voicing mode. Just tap the V key at any time to activate.
Self-voicing enabled.
In this mode, extra narration is used to describe imagery, and user interfaces are streamlined. Let's demonstrate with this scene where Penny, the woman in the black and white striped shirt and mask, is going out on a date with Farsight, the superheroine in the colorful but practical costume.
Farsight, I'm so glad we're finally able to talk outside of our day jobs. It's nice to get away from all that mask and cape stuff. Penny,
Phunk, was machst du da?
absolutely. What's a good first
Beatboxen.
date question?
Achso.
The beeping
Du sahst
sound
dann unangenehm
lets players
berührt aus,
know
was
that
los?
it's time to make a choice.
Nein, alles gut.
Alright, let's see, what do we pick here?
What are her hobbies? Sewing, stamp collecting, virtual pet raising? Would she rather fight one horse-sized duck, or 100 duck-sized horses?
Für sowas sehe ich einfach auch
Penny,
KI-Stimmen.
I'd like to ask
Ich
you
wollte es
an
gerade sagen,
important
weil
question
wären wir,
one
also,
scholars
oder ist
and
es
philosophers have
genormt,
wrestled with for
dass die Leute,
generations?
die so eine Stimme
Penny,
hören,
one horse-sized duck or
das mehr
100
verstehen als eine
duck-sized
KI-Stimme?
horses?
Blöde Frage, weil ich dahingehend
glaub-
keine Einschränkungen habe.
Farsight,
Glaube ich nicht
oh,
wirklich.
horse-sized duck.
Das ist ja die
Weil sie
normale, das
schon
ist ja
so
diese normale
casually
Windows-KI-Stimme, oder?
Ja, die ist schrecklich, die ist ganz
last
grausam.
week.
Ja.
For sighted players, we have options to help customize the user
Und ich glaube, mit
interface
KI
to
kannst du
their
auch besser
needs.
betonen
You can
und
adjust
deutlicher
fonts
sprechen,
used
dass
by
man
the
vielleicht
game, picking
ne,
between
das besser
comic book
versteht.
style, a simplified font for easier readability, and the standard open dyslexia font. These changes carry through to user interfaces, dialog boxes, and more. Dialogue is colored to match the speaking character, or can be set to monochrome. You can also invert the text box to white. Lastly, I'd like to give a little sneak peek into our next game, The Shadow over Cyberspace, in which the Cthulhu mythos is retold through the apocalyptic lens of the Y2K crisis and 90s internet culture. In this game, we make use of video and screen filters to create retro computer effects. Seen here is an example of that, with an angry woman drawn in pixel art on a laptop screen, with a looping video of fire behind her, and an LCD filter on top.
Nyarlathotep, speak your piece or go in pieces. Who are you, and what convinced you that approaching the crawling chaos was a good life decision?
For players with photosensitivity, we've added the ability to disable these effects. You get the same visuals, but they're a static picture and easier on the eyes. The game also makes use of video during sequences where you watch television. We use open captioning to ensure everyone can enjoy this part of the game, and when using self-voicing mode, additional visual narration is added.
Static gives way to the TV23 logo, WYGH-TV, Arkham, Innsmouth, Dunwich. A TV test pattern plays through static.
Bei mir wurde aber geschrieben, dass viele Leute, die solche Text-to-Speech-Sachen haben, die Texte nicht lesen können, das auf 500% Geschwindigkeit haben. Und man das dann nur mit Übung aber versteht.
Also vorgespult oder was?
Ja, die hören das in 5-facher Geschwindigkeit, die normale, also das, was wir gerade hören. Aber ich glaube nicht im Spiel, das wäre ja merkwürdig.
Oh, krass. Oh, okay.
Aber so, wenn den normaler Text vorgelesen wird, dann anscheinend...
Hello, I'm Lucy Blundell, the indie developer behind Videoverse, which is a narrative adventure game focusing on character development, friendship and love in the old school internet. As a disabled developer, I wanted to include positive disability representation in the story, but the game itself has many accessibility features that I'd like to share with you today. Videoverse can be controlled using mouse, keyboard, touchscreen or controller. There are no button combos, no quick responses required, no strobe effects, and the game is generally low pressure. Navigation is also large and clear, with audio cues upon selection. Videoverse is made in RenPy, the visual novel engine, which already includes several accessibility features. There's self-voicing and separate volume bars for sound, music and voice. The default font can be switched for a clear, easy-to-read font, and all fonts are large and high contrast. If you miss a thought or conversation, you can check the log to see what you may have missed. And when it comes time to saving, you can manually save at any point or use the autosave feature. Though there are some additional features too. There is a typing noise during chat conversations, which can be turned off in the preferences menu. Closed captions are also available, but audio is not required to play Videoverse. And since Videoverse covers heavy topics, such as depression, abuse and neglect, there is also content warning
Die sehen immer so schön aus und dann kommen diese Themen da rein.
The default Videoverse theme is black and white, clear and high contrast. But there are many different colour themes, some of which are colourblind friendly, and these can be changed at any time. And on the pause menu, there is a tip button in the top left corner. Use this to get a hint.
Irgendwie langweilig die Funktion zu erklären. Ja, du hast, glaube ich, den Sinn dieser Präse gerade nicht verstanden. Es geht gerade darum.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the old school experience of Videoverse.
Viele Games Richtung
Hello
Retro.
everyone, I am Sightless Combat. First off, thank you so much to the organisers for inviting me back here. It's amazing to be a part of this event.
Sightless Combat.
Just by way of a self-description, I'm wearing an RNIB Design for Every Gamer shirt and a cap with my logo on it, which is 2 swords crossed over an eye, as well as over-ear headphones. And in the background behind me, you can see numerous items of gaming memorabilia, including what has lovingly been termed as a pop waffle, a display holding various pop vinyl figures from various franchises that I've accumulated, as well as a gold lancer from Gears of War 4, the replica of that iconic weapon. So, for those who don't know me, I am an award-winning, multi-credited accessibility consultant and content creator from the UK, as well as being the Accessible Gaming Officer for RNIB, that is Royal National Institute of Blind People, the UK-based sight loss charity. And crucially, I am a gamer without sight, having never had any sight whatsoever. Now, I'm here to talk about, once again, a genre that some might question how you would even make accessible for anyone with no vision to work with, and one that, from what I've heard, a fair number of people are interested in: city builders. Enter Cellular City, a puzzle game about building, well, tiny cities. When I first heard about this game, it sounded really intriguing to me, not just because of the wonderfully alliterative name, and the developer is keen to make this as accessible as possible. So I would highly recommend giving this a look if you're even remotely interested in something new and, in my case, relatively unfamiliar. But I'm not going to try and spoil any of this, because here is a little trailer to show you just what this game is all about, as well as, of course, its accessibility features. Here is Cellular City from developer Callum Deary.
This is Cellular City, a puzzle game about building tiny cities. Cellular City's primary mechanic is rules around neighbouring buildings. For example, you can't have a steel foundry next to a block of flats.
A3 is a flats. B3 is empty. B2 is empty. Foundry placed in B2.
On the other hand, some buildings like each other, like stations and flats.
C2 is a station. B2 is empty.
Das heißt, du musst alles im Kopf haben?
B2.
Ja.
It has text-to-speech and audio description of levels.
Das finde ich für uns, glaube ich, auch wesentlich unvorstellbarer, weil wir halt noch über diesen Sinn verfügen, den Sehsinn.
Voice, alongside keyboard and controller support.
Start building.
Level audio description starts automatically on level load, but can be re-prompted by the player at any time.
Describing city. A1 is empty, B1 is a rail, C1 is a rail, A2 is a hill, B2 is a mine, C2 is a station, A3 is empty, B3 is empty, C3 is a rail.
The player's movement around the level.
A2 is a hill.
It's also described, as are the actions.
Du hörst einfach zu und stellst es dir und weißt, das ist krass.
Flats placed in A3.
Ich glaube, du hast ja dein Gehirn dann auch komplett anders trainiert, ne?
Ja.
Flats brutalist streets in the sky. Always controversial with neighbors near and far.
So if you're interested in a puzzle game about the tensions in a modern city, check out Cellular City's demo on itch.io.
Krass.
Hi, I'm the developer of Upheaval, a text-based open-world roguelike adventure where you can explore the wilderness, search for magic treasures, and shift the balance of power for 30 in-game days before a powerful magician brings big changes to the world around you.
Das ist wie die Adventure-Bücher früher.
Upheaval is turn-based.
Davon gibt's noch eine Menge
no
auf
timed actions and no complex controls.
Sowas, ja.
All text is big, easy to read, and high contrast. The background can be disabled, turned to dark mode, or both. Upheaval is completely blind playable without sighted assistance. You can use your favorite screen reader in the command line version.
Abandoned tower, armory, 26 days left, early night, 5/6. The muffled sound of a nightbird can be heard outside. 1. Go up the stairs, no time. 2. Go down the stairs, no time. 3. Open the chest, no time.
Ich frage mich halt, ob man diese Stimme eher gewohnt ist vielleicht.
Das meinte ich ja vorhin mit dem, dass man so darauf genormt ist.
Ja.
Weil es die so überall gibt.
Vielleicht ja.
Abandoned tower, top floor. You're on the top floor of the tower. Stairs lead down to the floor below. Stone windows look out in all
Das ist die
directions over the
Geschwindigkeit
prairies.
jetzt.
It's cold up here. The stone walls are sturdy around you. Press tab to highlight an option. Go down the stairs, no time. Look out over the prairies, 1 time. Search this area, 1 time. Success is random. Make camp, 2 time. This is the last option.
Volume levels can be adjusted separately.
So werden Menschen in der
Daran ist man dann halt gewöhnt.
Ambient sound and text-to-speech.
Ne, zu viele Buchstaben. Wir kürzen noch immer mehr ab.
Ja, wahrscheinlich.
Keyboard and controller inputs are both supported, and control remapping will be added before release.
Super krass.
Difficulty levels can be adjusted either before or during each game. You can grant more in-game time, conjure items, teleport, use the rewind button planned before release, or any combination of these. You can try the free demo of Upheaval on Steam today. Wishlist Upheaval on Steam to support this project. If you have any questions about accessibility, please reach out using my contact info.
Ich nutze Text-to-Speech, um Webnovels beim Spielen zu hören. Ich merke gar nicht mehr, dass die Robot Voice seltsam ist.
Ja, man gewöhnt sich dann auch so sehr dran und auch an die Geschwindigkeit. Das ist einfach ja nur Trainingssache.
It's your host Laura here again. I want to take some time today to talk about a game that we wanted to include in this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase, and timings just did not work out for putting together a formal trailer to showcase this game. But I still really think that this game is doing some interesting stuff, and I think it is worth talking about. So I'm going to put together a little tease just to try and tell you a little bit about a game that I wish we could have included more formally here today. Periphery Synthetic is a chill, relaxed, non-violent Metroidvania that takes place in first person and is particularly notable for being designed to be able to be played without any visual input, to be able to be played purely with audio cues.
Okay.
You play as someone who has been tasked with surveying a planetary system in an upgradable exosuit and are able to explore by
Man soll das Spiel nach Geräuschen spielen und nicht nach
audio cues that are built into the soundscape of the game to collect materials that will allow you to craft and upgrade your movement abilities while doing this sort of non-linear exploration of a planet.
Ich glaube mehr mit Sichteinschränkungen, oder? Weil hören, also...
It is a really unique game, trying some very interesting stuff in terms of how it presents its exploration cues. There is a demo available to play on itch.io if you search for Periphery Synthetic EP. The full game will be coming to Steam in summer of 2024. You can find a link to it on the Steam sale page this year that we have for all of the games included in the Accessibility Summer Showcase. I know that the developer of this game was real frustrated to not be able to have a trailer ready in time for our submission deadline, and I really wanted to still be able to include them, so I've put this together and hopefully
also hat sie selber einfach aufgenommen.
This gives you a sense
ja, das ist echt
really interesting game that I think is worth checking
Krass,
out.
okay.
Trash Goblin is a wholesome and cozy shopkeeping game where you uncover and clean trinkets other people have thrown away, then upcycle them to sell to an endless parade of colourful and quirky customers. You can then spend your savings to upgrade your shop, buy new and better tools to unlock more activities, and even expand your business to exciting new districts across town. Trash Goblin has always been intentionally designed to be enjoyed by as many people as possible. There are no fail states or time pressures, no skill gates to content, and no fast action. It's played in first person with a limited set of views, and no need to rush anywhere. This gentle pace is at the core of what it means to be a true goblin. We're doing everything we can to help players of all kinds enjoy the tactile, scrunchy, and satisfying mechanics we've built. That effort starts with us listening to our community, who asked us to add an option to allow players to sponge trinkets clean without holding a button down, so we did.
Oh, cool.
And you asked for optional auto-chisel features for the chipping gameplay, so we implemented them. Thanks so much to our community for helping us make the game more accessible for everyone. Though a range of ongoing work we've undertaken to ensure you're able to enjoy Trash Goblin to the fullest. The mouse is used for every interaction, with optional keyboard shortcuts for navigation, and we're implementing controller support too. Tutorials use button glyphs for clarity. And the game's default font uses a clean and readable sans serif typeface.
Sag's ruhig, Erik, sag's. Ist okay. Sag's.
During conversations, the player can skip the text
ist okay.
and a button press confirms they've read everything.
Gewohnt mittlerweile.
And there are a selection of audio and volume settings to take advantage of, plus text speed settings and more. But of course we want to do even more. So please consider wishlisting the game on Steam and play the demo.
Super entspannt und auch Dopamin fördernd. So, alles hat so schön plopp gemacht und hat sich so befriedigend bewegt. Ja, ich hab's mir auch aufgeschrieben direkt. Also, geil.
Wäre auf jeden Fall was für eine entspannte Streamnacht.
Hi everyone, my name is Revia and I'm a disabled and chronically ill content creator from Norway and also a co-host of the podcast Control Alt Access together with Laura. I'm a white woman in my 30s with dark red hair, wearing a yellow flowy shirt sitting in my game room. Last year, Whitethorn Games brought us Botany Manor, a game where you play as Arabella, retired botanist living in the 19th century England. In this game, you're working toward finishing a botanical research book, Forgotten Flora, by growing fascinating plants, looking for mysterious clues and solving cozy puzzles. But not only is this game a wonderful little adventure, it's also accessible for me. From the focus on cognitive accessibility through good information in the options, a well-made journal system, and a bunch of ways to reduce motion sickness, all the way to more motor accessibility with toggle to run and zoom. This game feels like it was made for me. So this is why I'm so happy to see that Whitethorn Games are back this year, and I can't wait to see what they have to show us all.
Trash Goblin hat ein Demo schon draußen. Habe ich gerade gelesen.
Und ja, die Leute beschreiben sich für Zuschauer, die nicht sehen können. Ja.
You have a myriad of options available to make the experience.
Das hatten wir gestern schon gesehen.
Ja, das mit dem Tropf, mit dem Dragonfest-Blob.
Ja.
You can also slow the enemy's attack speed, or increase your own stamina recharge. You can extensively change your cursor for better contrast and visibility based on your preferences. There is also the ability to toggle on double jump for more control and distance in platforming sections. Timed puzzles can also be made longer so that you can have more time than you normally would to complete sections. You can outline your slime with either black or white to contrast the many colorful environments of the game for improved visibility. Enable visible hitboxes to allow you to see the exact movement of an attack or enemy, enabling you to be sure all of your attacks land as you eliminate even the most challenging corrupted enemies. This is just a sample of the things to come from Slime Heroes. In Magical Delicacy, you play as Flora, a young witch who's just moved to the harbor town of Gronkh to grow her magical abilities. In the game, you make new friends, discover new places, find the secrets, cook all sorts of delightful foods, and get entangled in an enchanting story. To help Flora traverse the city, there's an easy platforming option that disables disappearing platforms that would otherwise require precise timing or quick movements during puzzle or platforming areas.
Woran immer so gedacht wird, ist krass, ne?
Wenn du ein Spiel produzierst, musst du an so viel dann denken, wenn du es zugänglich machen möchtest einfach.
You can darken the background so that the contrast can be even more visible. Beyond that, when having conversations with the mini characters,
aber ich finde es eigentlich nice, dass man sich so letztendlich seinen Game-Style zurechtklicken kann dann.
Ja. So wie ein User-Interface in MMOs oder so. Machst du einfach so, wie es dir passt. Das finde ich gut.
Ja, genau.
Guck mal, Erik, du kannst den Font ändern. Geil.
Ich finde es hier auch gar nicht, ich finde es hier nicht so wild bei dem Spiel. Ich habe es nur aus Prinzip gesagt, weil ich ein Prinzipienreiter bin. Der Front selber war sehr schön.
Hi, I'm Zoe Reyes, the Usability and Accessibility Specialist at Whitethorn Games. I'm a woman with blue hair just past shoulder length, in a light pink t-shirt, and wearing glasses. Making your games more accessible is a great goal to have, but sometimes it can feel daunting as an indie dev. To help you get started, I've got a starter kit of some features you can include to help you reach your goals. One of the easiest ways to get started
ich liebe es, bei solchen Leuten in solche Zimmer zu gucken und die
Poster und alles. Ich habe mir jedes Poster angeguckt.
Ja, ich auch gerade.
Commands that reset the player or give the player increased health or stamina or more time.
Beschreibt doch mal euer Aussehen. Wir sind sehr attraktiv, ich habe es gerade schon gelesen, sehr attraktive, durchtrainierte Mitzwanziger mit vollem Haar und saftigen Bärten. Stehen in der Blüte des Lebens und sprengen unser Shirt. Und die Hose.
Contrast in mind. This may sound rather simple, but checking how contrastive the player's view is may make the difference in making the game playable for someone with low vision or colorblindness. Double check your inputs. Things like repetitive inputs and button holds can be limiting for the player. Offering alternatives such as eliminating the need for quick button presses or the ability to toggle a sustained button press is always a great idea, and if you can, try including input remapping. Including subtitles is another great way to make your game more inclusive, especially if your game has a lot of spoken dialogue. A lot of times, you already have a script ready to go, too. You can even go a step further and add subtitles for non-dialogue sounds in your game, such as environmental sounds or sounds that guide hearing players to act. Sometimes game objectives can be unclear. Instances where things are conveyed by color only or sound alone are often very inaccessible. Try conveying information in multiple ways if you can. I hope those tips help you get started. Keep in mind, this is not an exhaustive list, but the good news is that there are loads of resources online from this amazing community. I recommend checking out the Games Accessibility Guidelines website, the Xbox Accessibility Guidelines, and the IGDA Games Accessibility SIG YouTube. Talking with other developers who are working on features to make their games more accessible is also one of the greatest resources we have. Our greatest strength is sharing the knowledge we gain with each other, because together we can make video games an even more inclusive space for everyone. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Milan Patel, also known as Patelsaur. I am an accessibility consultant and content creator, and I live with a disease called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And I have been gaming pretty much my whole life, and that started getting difficult about 10 years ago. And this is at a time before accessibility was more widely implemented. So I kind of felt like I wasn't going to be able to game again anymore, or any longer in the future as well. But now, since accessibility is more widely implemented, and there are many more tools that you could use now, I am now able to play more games than I was before my physical difficulty started. So accessibility is something that's quite important to me, and it's really great to see that it's being more widely implemented and more people are starting to learn about it.
Hey everyone, I'm Kevin from Manavoid Entertainment, and today we're going to talk about some of the accessibility features in Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan. Let's jump right into it. We've been asked how we made the game accessible for people with color blindness. Luckily, our technical director Alexis is actually colorblind himself, so in a game about recoloring the world of imagination, it was important to get this one right. That's why you'll always see symbols associated with colors. The 12 colors used to represent different emotions have all been given a symbol which is always present throughout the game. Items that you can interact with in the game are always animated and highlighted with color too. We used forced perspectives, which makes it easier to play with a single joystick. The camera also rotates
Wir sehen ja gerade lauter Indie-Games, ne? Ich frage mich, ob viele dieser Accessibility-Options vielleicht auch den Weg irgendwann zu AAA finden. Es hat ja schon angefangen, so etwas.
Ja. Also Xbox hatten wir ja schon. Die machen das ja zum Glück sehr, sehr gut. Aber ansonsten, ich stelle mir das so schwer vor, als etwas jüngerer Mensch, der jetzt, ich sag mal, Computerspiele für sich entdeckt, aber du hast eine Einschränkung. Und du weißt aber nicht, dass es solche Accessibility-Möglichkeiten bei vielen Spielen auch gibt. Ich glaube, du denkst sehr, sehr schnell, was ja auch vorhin die eine Person meinte, der mit der Brille, mit dem Hundeschwanz im Hintergrund, dass er auch aufgehört hatte zu spielen, weil es für ihn ja nicht mehr möglich war, weil er nicht dachte, dass Spiele darauf irgendwie eingehen.
Ja. Ich weiß, Einstellungsmöglichkeiten haben viele Spiele auch schon, gerade für Farbenblindheit und so weiter. Aber auch so, dass man einzelne Spielelemente zum Beispiel, ne, was wir vorhin gesehen haben mit der Unsterblichkeit oder dass diese Dinger da nicht verschwinden, diese Blöcke unter einem und so, dass die Spiele konfigurierbarer werden quasi. Ja. Ich finde es super interessant.
Weil ich darüber, also so doof wie es klingt, ich denke nie darüber nach. Ansonsten.
Nee, ich auch nicht. Vor allem, wenn es eigentlich betrifft, dann guckt man da halt auch seltener rein.
Das ist jetzt schön zu erfahren, wie viel da mittlerweile gemacht wird und was es alles gibt.
Von den Großen ist Nintendo am schlimmsten, die haben gar keine Accessibility.
Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan has so much more to offer. If you'd like to give it a try, head over to our Steam page and get ready to recolor the world. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan.
Hi everyone, quick update here from Laura. The folks behind Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan have actually given us some Steam codes for the game to give away during today's Accessibility Summer Showcase. If you would like to be entered into a random draw to win one of 5 copies of Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan, you can head over to @WeAreManavoid on Twitter and find the competition tweet. 5 people will win Steam codes for the game by responding to the tweet up on Manavoid's Twitter. You can enter between now and Sunday, June 9th at 11:59 PM Eastern Daylight Time, so you have about 2 days to respond to their tweet to get put in for a random drawing to maybe win a copy of Rainbow Billy: The Curse of the Leviathan. Enjoy, fingers crossed that you win. Let's get back to more games.
Welcome to Spaceboat, a narrative adventure filled with colorful worlds and wacky characters. Play as Inspector Domino, an undercover space cat detective, and track down an intergalactic jewel thief. Hi, my name is Luis Alonso. I'm the game developer for Spaceboat. Spaceboat is a narrative adventure that is meant to be enjoyed by all. It was important to give it as many accessibility options as possible. What most people don't know is that I'm also a triple amputee, and one of the few disabled solo game devs that are out there, so I take accessibility seriously. Last year, we mentioned the work that was done to have a high-contrast art direction for people with colorblindness, as well as having text for everything that was spoken or heard for people with hearing impairment. This year, we added a number of additional features.
Ich muss ihn noch
Spaceboat
holen.
now has an options menu accessible at all times from within seconds of starting the game.
Wie cool die Charaktere, wie cool das Artwork hier generell so ist.
Controls to reduce
Ja,
the need
was
for
ist
multiple
das?
inputs. Although other buttons might be needed, this makes the majority of
Das
the game
Detective-Spiel,
playable with
ja?
one hand. Similarly, we added an auto-run feature, which reduces the number of buttons that need to be pressed. Additionally, we added input sensitivity controls so that all players can fine-tune the game to their liking. Although we mentioned that we put a lot of work into providing a high contrast art direction, we felt it was a good idea to include colorblind shader modes. We know it's not a well-loved feature, but if it helps someone in the slightest, it's there. On Steam,
Die sehen
we
auch ein
also
bisschen
added
so
the
aus,
ability
wie
to switch
wenn du
controls
dir bei
on demand.
Dark Souls einen Charakter
This means that
erstellst
if
und
you're
auf
playing with a
Random
mouse and
drückst bei der
keyboard, you can
Charaktererstellung.
switch to an Xbox controller at any time.
So ein bisschen Muppet Show meinst
As a
du?
person with a physical disability,
Ja, auch, ja.
I know it's
Jetzt
handy
gerade
to
im
have
Hintergrund,
many
das
inputs
ist schön.
available
Ja.
to adjust to gameplay changes. Please note that these features are currently available in our demo, which can be found on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. If you think that Spaceboat could benefit from
Was?
further improvement,
Ach so.
please contact us
Hä?
at contact@recombobulator.ca. Thank you from
Sie
everyone
ist ein
at
Roboter.
Recombobulator Games.
Natürlich ist sie das.
We
Das
at
habe
Paint
ich
Bucket Games
nicht gesehen
believe
vorher,
that
da war
everyone
ich
should have the
blind.
opportunity to enjoy the games we create, regardless of ability. We are currently developing the Darkest Files, a historical investigation and courtroom game based on true crimes. We want our games to be inclusive and welcoming to all players, which is why we've implemented several accessibility features. For one, players can choose their own
Wie heißt das
difficulty and
Spiel?
even customize it further to match their needs.
Hast du leider nicht gemerkt.
The Darkest Files also features mouse-only gameplay.
Darkest
This
Files?
allows players to play the game just by clicking with one hand, making it accessible to those who use adaptive controllers as well. In addition to mouse-only gameplay,
Files,
we've
nicht
also
Files,
made it
Files.
easy for
Darkest
players to
Files.
switch seamlessly between input devices, such as keyboard, mouse, or controller. Of course, their sensitivity can be adjusted as well. Since players work with documents while investigating, we are also very mindful of the readability of our fonts and texts and always offer a transcription. For dialogues, there are real-time subtitles available.
Das
While
Vorlesen fehlt noch.
developing, we are in contact with testers
Ja,
with
haben sie
impairments
jetzt noch
and
nicht
want to
drin hier.
continue to learn about accessibility.
Kommt 100 Pro.
Ja, hat sie ja
Hi
gerade gesagt.
everyone,
Realtime.
Laura here again.
Ah,
Thank you so much for tuning into this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase. As a reminder, we have a Steam sale page for this year's Summer Showcase, so you can find most of this year's games all in one place on Steam if any of them caught your interest. We've got one final trailer for you before we wrap up, but before that, I want to make a quick announcement. The Accessibility Summer Showcase is a bit of a passion project for me, and it's something that I find a lot of joy in producing. As such, I'd like to try expanding it just a little. In December of 2024, I'm going to attempt to publish the Accessibility Winter Showcase. It'll be just like the Summer
Okay.
Showcase, just happening at the other end of the year. The hope is that we can provide a spotlight for accessible video games whose announcement windows might not line up well with our usual summer event. If you're a developer who would be interested in featuring in the Accessibility Winter Showcase, email laurakbuzzofficial@gmail.com and we can discuss specifics. More official information will be made available in
Besser
the
als der
coming
lange
weeks.
Link vorhin.
There's no guarantee that the Accessibility Winter Showcase will return in future years, but I'd like to give it a go and see if it's something that I can publish sustainably. Thank you all again for watching. Please enjoy our last trailer, and I hope you have an accessible day.
Hey everyone, I'm Darren, the developer of Dawnfolk, a miniature survival city builder about bringing light back to the world. I designed Dawnfolk to be the perfect entryway into the city builder strategy game genre. It's a simple game without complex menus to navigate or endless tutorials. A unique element of Dawnfolk is that you can collect resources by playing small, exciting minigames. But one day, a player contacted me and told me he could not enjoy the game because those minigames required too much button mashing and dexterity. That made me so sad that I quickly updated the demo within the hour with a button to disable the minigames. He was very grateful, and watching him play afterwards really motivated me to add more accessibility features. Unlike most strategy games,
Weil ihm einer
Dawnfolk
geschrieben
is
hat.
completely playable with any controller you like. You can also activate haptic feedback to better understand what's happening in the game. Dawnfolk is also a narrative game, where you can reshape the story. The text is big, but you can change that 8-bit pixel font to a more readable one. You can also open the journal to read previous dialogue entries in case you need a little reminder. There are only a few key information on the screen at any time, and everything is big enough to make sure you can easily read it. The game uses signs, shapes, and high contrast colors, so you can play it whatever type of color blindness you might have. You can also activate a narrator that's gonna read everything for you.
Meadow, forest, plain, tents, wheat field. Awesome, the wheat field produces food every day.
There are tons of audio cues, but you can also perfectly play the game without any sound. Dawnfolk plays in real time. However, no worries, you can post time whenever you want. The game can be played with different levels of difficulty, and you can save anytime, so don't worry about making
Mich würde interessieren, ob es mehr immersive wäre, auch in Sachen Accessibility, wenn da wirklich Emotionen drin wären, eine Stimme, die passend zu der Situation.
But you do have a few screen shakes and flashes that you can disable. The game is still in development, and I'll be sure to add more accessibility
Ich kann es mir nicht mal vorstellen.
Leider. Wir können halt nicht mitreden.
And let me know what you think. Have fun.
Weil ich weiß nicht, ob man mittlerweile, wenn man über so eine Einschränkung verfügt, dann einfach das automatisch schon mit dem richtigen Gefühl versieht. Ich habe keine Ahnung.
Ich weiß es auch. Achso. Ich glaube, wir sind durch, ne? Wir haben jetzt das Ende überquatscht.
Ich glaube, wir sind durch.
Wir haben das Ende überquatscht. Ups.
Ach ja, das war ja nur Follow us there. Oh.
So.
Man, da kriegt man so viele Gedanken, worüber man sich ansonsten nie Gedanken macht. Das ist ja auch ziemlich, das ist ja auch gut.